I'm going to explain to you how people develop ED from watching porn in a very simple, rudimentary format. There's 3 different scenarios. The first scenario is you and corn. When you are self-pleasuring, your dopamine goes up to level 100, let's call it. Okay? This is your dopamine. Every time you're self-pleasuring while watching porn, your dopamine goes up to 100. The second scenario and the third scenarios, one is you plus another person having an intimate experience, like normal hooking up style. The third is you plus your imagination when you are self-pleasuring. Okay. So scenario 1 is you and corn, your dopamine goes to 100. This is a self-pleasure scenario. The second self-pleasure scenario is you and your imagination, or you and a book, or you and a static image. Something that has very high neural demand, but activates your dopamine slightly. Your dopamine goes up to 10 in this scenario, okay? And it caps here at 10. This, it goes up to 100. It's a much higher level of dopamine, and there's a significantly lower neural demand. So dopamine goes up high. The amount of brain demand that you need while watching porn is significantly lower. And then here's what happens. When you're with another person, let's just say your dopamine goes up to 50. Okay? So you have you and porn, it goes to 100. You and another person, it goes to 50. And you and yourself, it goes to 10. The difference here between 100 and 50, this gap is going to create what we call ED, because your dopamine is so used to getting to levels of 100 while watching other people have sex on a screen, that when you're with someone, your dopamine centers only get to about a 50. Because there's such a big delta here between 100 and 50, your body says, I'm not used to this. This doesn't turn me on. That level of turn on and that gap, this delta that you have here, leads to ED, which means that when you're with a real person, your body says, this isn't enough stimulation for me to actually get aroused, to get an erection, to be able to hook up and have sex. Therefore, why I encourage men to stop watching porn altogether is because when you're by yourself and you're self-pleasuring and you're watching a book, looking at a static picture, you're watching a video that isn't porn, anything that has high neural demand and relatively low dopamine hit, this delta here is what we're looking for. This is the positive zone. When you're with yourself and you get to a 10, but when you're with a partner, you get to a 50, the gap here is 40. That means that there is going to be more arousal here, and you're going to be able to get a better erection, and you're not going to have ED because of this gap, okay? So you always want, when you're self-pleasuring, you want your level of dopamine to be less than what it will be when you're with someone. When you're with someone, it's going to be a certain level. But if you're consistently training yourself at level 100 and your dopamine says, I need this in order to get hard, you're always going to have ED. But if you train yourself where the dopamine is a little bit lower, 10, 20, whatever it may be, but when you're with someone, this 50, if your dopamine when you're with another person is always greater than when you are with yourself, you're never going to get ED, ever. It's math, guys. It's understanding the sources of our pleasure and the dopamine reward pathway and the way that it wants to work. You need to get this whole thing. You need to always be at a level that's lower. It's math, it's science, it's not that complicated. But if you continue to watch porn, you will always have ED, and you will never be as hard as you want to be when you're with a partner. That's simple.